And I feel as though if you don't understand addiction or mental health issues or being in a marriage like that, I don't think that you should say if somebody should not be saying those secrets or not. Like, that's her experience too, if that's what she's sharing. This is me saying something about what we're going through. This is my experience as well. I have every right to say what I went through and what I've gone through.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Till the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
Today's episode, we're going to delve into something I don't think we've ever covered before. Whenever you've been through something really, really difficult with somebody, whether that's addiction or trauma or abuse, something serious, how much of that story belongs to you and how much of it is yours to share? It's going to be an interesting conversation. You're not going to want to miss this one. Going to get pretty raw. It's just the two of us again. I love guests. I love our guests. They've been lovely and amazing and considerate and of their, time with us and everything, but I'm looking forward to just getting back to me and you.
I'm looking forward to this discussion and just having a discussion. It's not like telling others what to do. I just want to share our opinions on it, and maybe it can open up discussions within their own homes.
Yeah, I hope that. I hope if it does anything at all, it just triggers some thoughts in you and kind of makes you think about where you stand with this. I'm not sure if there is a right or wrong answer, but we're going to get into every bit of it. First things first, house cleaning. Hey, if you haven't followed the show, like subscribe to the show, whether that's on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you listen to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, follow the show, subscribe to the show, and then leave us a quick review. Doesn't have to be anything like well thought out. Just, hey, liked it. That would help. Anything at all. It makes us more discoverable so that we can reach more people can get help from the show. We've got a website, twfo.com. That is tufo.com, where you can find out everything that you need to know about us. If you've ever wondered, hey, who the hell are these two? Their story, you can find it there. We've also got merch. We've got sweatshirts. We've got stickers. We've got t-shirts. We've got hats. We've got recovery rocks. Recovery rocks are really cool. Here's one right here. This is a really cool token of appreciation that you can give to a spouse or someone that's been through something really difficult. It's got our logo on the front, shows that you're a fan of the show. And then on the back, thank you for being my rock. It's a really cool way to signify the sacrifices that a spouse or partner makes in going through something like this. I got chips and celebrations and ticker tape parades, and you got...
Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing. Rocks are
trauma.
Rocks a really cool way.
It's not funny, but hell,
to show appreciation. You can, if you ever wanted to do a one-on-one with us, you can book that there. We've also got a free Facebook community called Tufo Community. You can find that there. Last thing we've got is our wonderful sponsor, SoberLink. If you don't know what SoberLink is, it is the world's most high-tech breathalyzer device. And I was very reluctant to consider a breathalyzer as a sponsor or even talking about one because we didn't use one. And I've always said that we wouldn't promote something that we didn't use ourselves, but I would use it because I got to talking about what this product really does and the purposes that it serves. And I am a believer in it. Think of it as the world's most high-tech breathalyzer, right? It's very sleek. It's portable. It is wireless. It is sleek looking. It doesn't look like the kind you buy at Walgreens. It looks like a remote control or something like that. Or like one of those like ear thermometers.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it's really, really, really nice. It's not something that you're going to walk around feeling like, oh, everyone's going to know what this is. But it's portable and lets you test from anywhere. So whether that's at work, home, on the road, it doesn't matter. It has facial recognition technology so that you know who's blowing into that thing. It's like unlocking your phone, and it's to make sure that it's not being messed with. You can't have your buddy blow into it. You can't put an air hose up to it. You can't do any of these things. It is tamper proof, and they will know if you're tampering with it, right? They've got people on standby 24/7 that review the data. So it's not just going into some AI system and spitting out a result. They're actual humans that are looking at this stuff for manual review if anything's off. It's got built-in tamper protection as well. So if you do jack with it, you get alerted on that.
Boom.
I think the coolest thing is that they've got what's called like a sober network built into it. So if you wanted to set up like a spouse or your friends or your sponsor or your counselor or therapist, you can do that. And they get alerts anytime that you blow. And these are scheduled blows. They're not random. They're not trying to catch you off guard. And so that everyone can see in your circle that you are doing the deal. It's a really great way to rebuild trust in that way. That's the first use of it, is rebuilding trust. When I first got sober, there's nothing I wanted more than to have trust back. For a lot of people who have been like chronic relapsers, it's rather difficult. This is a great way to do it. Voluntarily say, hey, I'm signing up for SoberLink. I'm going to put you as a contact. That way they don't have to monitor your sobriety. They don't have to be the governor of your sobriety or the rule breaker. It's SoberLink that steps in and becomes that third party. It's really, really helpful. The other way this is really beneficial is in spousal separation agreements. And this is the way I think that we would use it if we ever came to this point.
Yeah.
Knowing and trusting that your children are going somewhere safe, where there's a responsible and sober adult. It gives you that peace of mind. It is court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada, and is trusted by over 200,000 people. It is the gold standard in court. If there was a custody agreement that I was part of, which I hope there never is, it would no doubt be a requirement. I can say that for sure. SoberLink has been an amazing sponsor of the show, supporter of the show, and they've given our listeners a $50 off coupon, but you got to go to soberlink.com/wheels to get it. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. And that concludes our announcements.
Nah, I thought you were, I don't want to get a paper cut. Why would you do that?
Get rid of the notes, so I've got a clean slate over here. Okay. This is a really great topic.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for about 3 weeks now, because that's when it actually popped up out in public. Twitch's wife, Allison.
Who's Twitch? For those that don't know.
He was a dancer.
He was really popular. I'd never heard of him personally whenever this all went down, but you knew exactly who he was.
Yeah, I did. I remember when I found out what had happened, and it was sad. I was really sad about it.
He took his own life.
Yes, he did. But recently, his widow is releasing a memoir. And she found out that he had been privately battling drug addiction, found some of his journals and stuff that had some traumatic experiences in
from
it.
childhood and whatnot.
Yeah. And I didn't really dig deep into exactly what the memoir was about.
I haven't read it either.
This is not what this episode was about. I just think that this opened up a really, really good conversation in our house, based on what is our story to tell. You know, what is our story to tell? I don't know if what she shared, I don't know if it's based on her story and her perspective, or if it's just based on what she found. I don't know. That's not what this is about. And that's not what we're going to get into. We're just going to get into, when is it appropriate for a spouse to share the struggles of their partner's addiction?
Yeah, I think that's the crux of it all. It's like, how much of this story belongs to you?
Yeah.
It's often something very taboo to talk about the intimate details of what you've gone through with somebody else. Whether you were in an abusive home growing up, if you've been in an abusive marriage, if you've been physically abused by somebody or emotionally, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Or if you've been involved in a relationship where there's addiction, just something taboo. There's almost like this blanket of quiet, hush, don't talk that's put over survivors of this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're told to not divulge too much, but divulge enough so that people know it exists. And it's really tough to know what the line is.
Right.
Between how much of this is your story versus our private life or my private life.
Right.
And that's what the conversation is really about. It's not a book review. It's not a book review.
No.
Where you stand on this? Reading it, what was your first feeling?
Well, when I first thought about it, I was like, okay, well, it's her story. She should be able to say what she wants to say. Like we talk, people who are addicts or in addiction and they're sobering up and they're in recovery, they talk about their experience all the time. Like it's known. There are so many different social media platforms or social media accounts out there talking about their experience, but there's not very many on the spouse's side, like very little about the spouse's experience, because it's hard for us to talk about this shit. Plus, there are certain programs that tell us you're not supposed to talk about that because that's their experience and that's their story and that's their issues. You need to keep your mouth shut. So I have a lot of opinions on this because I'm one of the first people to actually speak up about this publicly in a different way that isn't based on codependency or enabling or my part in the situation. I'm more on the trauma side of it. I'm more of like, this is my experience and this is something that happened to me. This is my story. My mental health issues were caused by this situation. And mental health has been something that has been discussed a lot out in public too, right? Like we're supposed to destigmatize that and say, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. So I spoke up and I discussed all these things because this needs to be addressed. It's okay for us to speak this stuff. If we're talking about addiction, we need to talk about the spouse's perspective of that side as well, not just the addiction.
Yeah, everyone knows full and well that addiction affects not just the person struggling with a substance use disorder, but it affects everyone that they have in their lives. Like I've said before, like you just think about the average person. How many lives do they touch? It's like about 25 people.
It's a lot.
That you touch on average, and each of them has a story with you.
Yeah.
Do they all have to remain quiet until I say it's okay? Is kind of the question.
The question that's really difficult, because I'll say with our experience, I didn't talk about it much early on. It was complicated. It was difficult. I didn't know what you wanted to discuss. I didn't know what was supposed to be discussed. You were in AA. That's something that they talk about. It's anonymous. You can't talk about these things.
Anonymous,
you don't talk about that. So I didn't really talk about my experience until later on. But you did an article with the Dallas Morning News.
I did.
Oh, you were a year sober, I believe.
Like 24. You can probably still find it.
Yeah,
out
you
there.
can. I've looked it up. It was a good article.
Search my name, Dallas Morning News. And
yeah.
it'll pop up.
It was you in front of Coyle Middle School.
That's where I broke the leg.
Yeah, where you broke your leg.
Kickstarted this.
Mm-hmm. So you had that. And I remember when you did it, I was like, this is really cool. We need to talk about this. This is important. You were afraid, though, that it would get leaked to somebody else that didn't need to see it.
Yeah, my biggest fear was that my customers would find it.
Right. So you didn't want to really discuss it, yet you were putting the information in the Dallas Morning News.
It was, for me, like in my gut, I felt like I needed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to come out and I needed to say that stuff like publicly. And like consequences be damned. Like, this is who I am. Like, I can't separate that stuff from me.
Yeah.
I just can't. And I personally feel like a fraud walking around trying to hide it, or what is it like? What do they say? Lying by omission.
Yeah.
In a sense, that's how it felt to me anyway. Personally, that's how I felt. I felt like it was lying by omission. Like this really important thing about me that I'm just not talking about.
Yeah.
And so you have to, like, I'm asking myself, like, okay, so what is my intent? I always ask myself that question.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
What is my intent in not saying anything? It's to deceive you into thinking someone that I'm not. I'm someone that I'm not.
Okay.
That's what I felt like I was doing.
Right.
So I felt like I needed to say something if I was given the opportunity. Obviously, I didn't seek them out and say, "Hey, I have a story to tell." They came to me.
They did come to you, but why did you feel like it was important to get your story out?
God, that's $1 million question.
Like, was it for you, or was it for others, or was it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I actually wrote this thing. I don't ever read on the podcast, but I think I want to articulate this in the right way. So I'm just going to read this if that's okay. That cool with you? You're just gonna be sitting here staring at me.
I'm gonna say, like, do you know me? I read my page's perspective sometimes.
Okay, so
go for it, babe.
I wrote this. When I got sober, one of the hardest things to face wasn't just the act of quitting. It was the realization that I was one of those people now. I remember having that feeling like in treatment. Like, I'm one of those people.
I had that same feeling.
And when I say those people, it's like those drug addicts that you meet.
Addicts.
It's those people who are on the payphone. Does anyone know what a payphone is anymore? A payphone at the 7-Eleven at midnights, like, underweight and just like disheveled looking, and like the people that you see and tell your kids, like, that's why you don't do drugs.
Right.
Like, I felt like I was one of those people now. I'm one of those people that everyone has to act weird around now, which is stupid because they were already acting weird around me because of the way I was. But in my mind, it was just like, I'm wearing the scarlet letter. I am a drug addict. I am an alcoholic. And there's no getting, this doesn't wash off.
Yeah.
And the shame hit me really hard. It wasn't the stigma that society attaches to addiction or recovery, though. It wasn't that. It was my own internal judgment. That was the hardest part. It was my own internal judgment
shame.
And my own standards for what I had for myself. That was the hardest part.
Okay.
It was the way I viewed myself that was the most damning thing of it all. I had to confront my own deeply ingrained beliefs about what it meant to be addicted and what it meant to need recovery. And that was really tough for me. But here's the thing. I realized that society's judgment, while real, it is real. There are people out there who still think that it is just like weak-minded people. And they think that about me, and they can think whatever they want. I don't care. It wasn't nearly as powerful as my own. The shame didn't come from them. It came from me. And the biggest breakthrough I had was understanding that I was in control of what I was going to make of this. I had the control, not them or you or her or him or even you. I had control of that. This is my life too. And I didn't care what other people thought, but I had to reckon with what I thought. That was the most difficult part. So recovery isn't about fixing how others view us. It's about transforming the way that we view ourselves more than anything. It's about deciding to take this mess and to do something meaningful with it, not for anyone else, but for ourselves. It's about reclaiming your narrative and saying, yes, I am one of those people, but I'm also the person who decided to rebuild my life from the ground up. We spend so much time talking about stigma as if society is the thing that's holding us back. But what I found, what I've recognized in myself is that the real problem is internal. The real shame is self-inflicted. That's what we have to break free from. That's where the real work starts. And for me, it wasn't about proving to others that I was better. It was about proving to myself. And once I stopped attaching meaning to what other people might think, I realized how liberating it was to take ownership of my life. And I became proud to be one of those people because I had the courage to face myself and to build something better.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was given the opportunity to talk about my addiction and my struggles and everything else, I had this thought first, which was, oh my God, what if someone finds out? What if so-and-so finds out?
Yeah.
And I had to look that in the face and say, is this about them or is this about me? And it was about me. Me and my great ideas are the worst thing that's ever happened to me. So I had to confront the fact that my first thought is generally not my friend. And I'm generally trying to protect my ego, protect something. I figured, what's the harm in just being honest? What's the harm in just being truthful? And what if it helps somebody?
Mm-hmm.
And it did. I've heard from so many people, even people I went to school with, that are struggling out there and they didn't want to speak up. They were scared to speak up. And when someone goes first, it becomes easier.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the benefit of it. It was partly for me owning my own part in this and my story, but it was also to help other people. Yeah, I felt like it was appropriate. And customers did find out. And guess what? They didn't care.
No.
They were proud of me. They said,
exactly.
That's amazing.
And I think that the majority of society will figure out when people are in recovery and they're doing the thing and they're saying, I'm sober. We look at you like, damn, you've been through some shit. And I think that's amazing that you're doing something great.
That's usually what you get from people.
That's usually what you get from people. It's not what you think.
Such a small minority of people that have an issue here.
Now, I will say that in active addiction, it is a little different because there's a lot of behaviors that go along with active addiction that it can be unforgivable and it can be harmful to others. So it's different. Addiction is different when it's looked at like that in active addiction and recovery.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you're right. Like, I can see that it's a lot easier to talk about it once you've done something about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to talk about that stuff while it's still happening.
Right.
Like, let's go back a year before that. Would I be okay discussing it? I'm not sure. Would I be okay with you discussing it? I would probably have to say no.
No. But
I don't know, but I would probably guess to say no.
Right.
But again, this is about me not being okay with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think personally that you don't need my permission to talk about your experience with me.
But it has made it easier to have your permission. So I'm going to be real about that. It makes it easier to have your permission to discuss these things because if I didn't have it, it would feel awkward. It would feel a little weird. I'd feel like there's got to be something going on here if you're not allowing me to speak about this.
Let me ask you, if you felt like you needed to, would you do it anyway?
What, speak about it?
Yeah.
And if you didn't give me permission, is that what you're saying?
Either not express permission, or just saying don't talk about it.
I don't know. It depends on the circumstances. I think that it's important for me to be able to share my experience and what I'm going through.
I think it's hugely important. I really do. I think that for anyone out there that doesn't want this talked about, I want you to ask yourself why. And some people might have reasons like you're a public figure, or it could jeopardize your job. Maybe you're in law enforcement,
or your children may ask you not to do it.
Yeah, maybe your children are uncomfortable with that news being out there. I think that you need to be okay with whoever wants to talk about it. I don't think you insist other people talk about it, but I think that you need to be okay with it. Because the fact is that addiction is the most selfish thing in the world. It's the most selfish thing. You're selfish when you're in active addiction because everything's about you. And then in recovery, it continues. Yeah. Everything's about me. What about everyone else that's affected by this shit?
Right.
And they never get a chance to speak up because God forbid I get my fucking feelings hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
God forbid I have to face the facts and look the world in the face and say, yeah, that was me. I did those things.
Mm-hmm.
To me, you are selling yourself short on some really amazing growth and probably some humility that you fucking need.
Well, yeah. And I also believe that hiding the information and not talking about it is a form of enabling as well, because it isn't there a saying in...
You're only as sick as your secrets.
Right. You're only as sick as your secrets. So as long as people keep quiet about it and hush, it's still going to continue the process. And it's a form of control.
It is. You're right. And we're so big on destigmatizing things. Everything. Every other post on Instagram is like, let's normalize this. Let's normalize that. Secrets keep the stigma alive, very much so.
Yes, it does.
You can go back and look at this. Like, if you've never read about the Kennedys, read about the Kennedy family. I don't have political opinions on this show ever, but it's just an interesting family. They had a family member who had some mental problems growing up. I think some like developmental issues, right?
Okay.
And like they hide these people away. They hid them away from the general public, which only furthers the stigma.
Right.
Had that family come forward and been like, yes, this is our child and we're proud of her and we love her and things are different, but it doesn't change a damn thing. If you just throw it in the closet, it just keeps this stuff hidden from people. No one ever feels like it's okay it's acceptable because no one's ever saying that it is, especially people who have a prominent position and have the pull to make it cool or to make it something that people can accept.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're keeping it stigmatized. The more you don't talk about it or allow other people to talk about it, it's never once, you've never, ever, ever hurt my feelings on this show or in any conversation that we've ever had.
Really?
You cannot hurt my feelings for things that I've already accepted about myself.
That's great. That's good to know.
I've already accepted these things about myself. How could you possibly hurt my feelings about them?
Right.
I'm interested in your experience with them. I want to know more. I want to empathize deeper. I'm curious to know how I affected you. The only thing that can do for me is prevent it from happening the next time and further my understanding of myself. That's all it can do.
Right. And that's great.
And of you. And strengthens our connection.
But a lot of people will say, oh, it's going to bring shame to me, so you can't talk about it.
Piss off.
And I just don't agree with that because like I've said before in this podcast, I've said that shame is necessary in order to recovery. And if we're tiptoeing around afraid to hurt somebody's feelings by the way they're treating you, if you're not in this, if you're not in this situation, if you have never been a spouse of an addict, you have no idea what it's like and how it feels and the things that go on. Like there is lying. You can't trust someone. You go crazy.
There's infidelity. There's
infidelity.
Stuff,
there's there's so much that goes into it. So you feel shame. You feel bad when we speak up about that. I'm sorry, not sorry. Like cry me a fucking river at this point. You need to own that shit. We're allowed to speak up. We can say what we feel because we've been impacted too.
I'm with you 100%.
And that's why I think it's important that, they talk about destigmatizing addiction. Well, we need to talk about it on all different sides, not just from the addict's perspective.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, from what I see, the addict's perspective is skewed for many years until they actually figure out what the hell they've done.
You're right. It is skewed.
Until you actually hear from the spouse's perspective, who was there, who witnessed everything, who had the front row seat.
Sober, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, they're the ones who got shit on, Their experience matters and they can talk about it. And if that brings shame, do something about it.
Yeah, here's where I'm at with shame. I think that shame can be one of the most powerful drivers of change that
100%.
a person can have. It depends on what you do with it. It really depends on what you do with it. You can look at shame and say, God forbid I feel that because then I'll spiral. Or you can look at shame and say, that can be one of the greatest catalysts for change that a person can ever feel.
It is for me.
I have said before that shame and desperation are gifts. They can be a gift. Truly. I think that desperation is one of the greatest gifts in the entire world, but you don't get there while things are going great.
Yeah.
You get desperate when you feel shame, when you feel hatred towards yourself, when you can't stand who you are anymore. And that's when we change. We don't change when things are comfortable. We don't change when stuff is hidden. We change when we feel like shit. And we say, you know what? The alternative has got to be better than this. Desperation's a gift. Don't waste it. But it has an expiration date too. You can just decide not to say something and suddenly you don't feel so desperate because you get comfortable with hiding things. You get comfortable not talking about them. I welcome the shame, quote unquote, that you would bring on by talking about your experience with me. All that's going to do is strengthen my understanding of myself and my impact on you. All that's going to do is strengthen our relationship as I understand what you walked through and have empathy for your situation, everything that I've ever put you through, what it was like being with me, what the texture of your mind must have been like, so I can understand what it must have been like being married to me. Yeah. How is that going to affect me in a negative way unless I decide, you know what, all these things are true, I just give up. And you know what, that's such a sellout perspective to take.
It really is. It is.
Like we have got to alchemize this stuff. If you're going to feel that way, you might as well use it to your benefit. Yeah.
It can help you be a better parent too. It just makes you be a better person whenever you acknowledge these things and let other people speak about their experience and what, you've done to them.
Think about it in every other aspect of your life. Whenever you're struggling with your weight, it's generally at some point that you've tried something on and it didn't fit and you just got disgusted with yourself. and you go, this shit stops today.
Yep.
And you get your butt up tomorrow and you start eating better, you start exercising, and that's what drives change. People don't change when shit's going well. You don't change when you're still fitting into your dress from high school. You don't need to, right? It's not until something drastic happens that creates this event where we feel that. And it's such a terrible thing to say we should avoid. I think we should embrace it. I don't want people to sit in it and believe all the lies they tell themselves, because your story is what you make of it. Like I mentioned earlier, the story is not nearly as important as the story you tell yourself about the story. That's what Dr. Porter discussed.
Yeah.
It's the story you tell yourself about the story. And it could be anything you want it to be. You get to own this however you want.
Right.
And for me personally, I never, ever, ever wanted a marriage or any kind of a relationship, especially a marriage, where you felt like you couldn't speak up. I think if I did, I've fucked up everything in life, just about everything.
Whatever.
The one thing that I got right, the only thing that I feel like I got right the first time was I allowed you to heal on your terms and on your time.
Yep.
And when I say terms, that means you were allowed to feel however you needed to feel, say whatever you needed to say. It was not going to affect me.
Yeah.
There was no way it was going to affect me. You were allowed to feel how you needed to feel.
Right.
And I never tried to censor you. I never said, you can say this, but don't say that. Keep this between us. This is a family secret. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
I don't understand it. If you are one of these people that feels like there's a good reason, I respect that. I am not here to convince you otherwise and go talking to everyone that you know about your innermost secrets in your life. I'm not. I'm truly not. This is just from my perspective. I cannot imagine a life where I could have done that.
But I think it's sad that with Allison, she got a lot of criticism, a lot of backlash from people just saying that she shouldn't be sharing family secrets like that. And I feel as though if you don't understand addiction or mental health issues or being in a marriage like that, I don't think that you should say if somebody should not be saying those secrets or not. Like, that's her experience too. If that's what she's sharing, this is me saying something about what we're going through. This is my experience as well. I have every right to say what I went through and what I've gone through, just like she has every right to say those things. I
find that the strongest opinions about things like this generally come from people on the periphery who have never actually dealt with them.
I agree. Who think they know things, but they really don't because they're not in it.
If you read it in the book, you can miss me with that shit.
Yeah.
If you've been through it, I'm more willing to listen. Maybe it's unfair. I don't really care. But people with lived experience of this kind of stuff, they get it. It's usually the people on the periphery who have some kind of moral high ground or moral opinion about it that have never actually been through it, right? They're just like a what do they call that? Like a Monday morning quarterback. Like the day after the game, everyone's got an opinion on what should have been done. Well, you weren't there,
right? You
weren't in it. You don't know. You can say all this stuff. Do you want to talk about Annie's book?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so Annie Parker, she is on Instagram at Annie the Safe Parent. Annie's got a book called "I Did Not Kill My Husband." I read this book, I think, over the summer, and then touched up on it again as we were preparing for this episode. We've actually gotten to know her a little bit, DM back and forth. She's incredibly sweet, awesome person. Annie's got a really interesting story. Annie had what I would call the worst case scenario story. Yeah. She lived a life with her husband. She's been very open about this. I'm not sharing anything that I haven't read publicly. He struggled with alcoholism for a very, very long time, to the point that she was suicidal. And this is something that no one really talks about.
Nope. Is
that being in a relationship like this will drive you to those dark places where you feel like taking my own life is something I would consider right now.
Oh, yeah.
I feel as low gets. I don't see a purpose, a reason for continuing on. And she talks openly about that. That's why it's I didn't kill my husband. I think the tagline is, but I almost killed myself. Her husband and her were on the outs for a very long time, very troublesome relationship as he's trying to get sober, dealing with all the stuff that goes on in active addiction, physical abuse to some degree. There was a lot of verbal abuse. There was a lot of abandonment. There was a lot of lying and deceit and all this stuff. And it just breaks the marriage. It fractures it. And at some point, she says that she had to make the decision that if she was at the point where she was considering taking her own life, her children needed to have at least one safe parent. If one of them was incredibly sick, she needed to do everything she could to give them at least one safe parent. But she also says that's not the whole truth. The other part of that is that she also did it because she fucking matters. Yeah. And because her desires and her needs and her wants in life matter. Her and her husband split up. And I think it was just a couple of months after they split up, he died. He drank himself to death. Heart attack by acute alcohol or prolonged chronic alcohol use or something like that. And she has shared openly about her emotions going through this, where she said things like, there were points where I would almost wish this would happen.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the worst thing in the world that this happened, but it's also the worst thing in the world that's ever happened. And she acknowledges having these two thoughts at the same time. And she's expressing how she's feeling. And the comments that she gets are some of the most vile and disgusting and disrespectful remarks from people. She says that her biggest supporters are people that are in recovery, that get it,
that understand,
spouses that have been there. It's people who are either still drinking, people with a strong moral high ground who have never been there, or people who just like being assholes on the internet because the price of being an asshole on the internet is basically zero now.
Yeah.
It's just everyone is an asshole, it seems like.
Yeah.
And she catches so much shit, but I've always admired that she even says in her book, like, this is my life too. This is my story too. And who the hell are you to say that I can't talk about this stuff? People say to her, you're just shaming him, and how dare you? He didn't deserve that. He loved you. How dare you disrespect him? He's not here to defend himself.
Live in that house. Live under that roof, you know?
Yeah.
You don't understand. People who have not lived it do not fucking get it.
Every experience that she had with him is also her experience.
Yeah.
Not just his experience.
No. This is your fucking partner. This is the person that you're supposed to create a life with. They're like your other half. This is your experience too.
It is.
So miss me with that bullshit saying that it's their story, because it's not.
It's not just their story.
No, it's not.
The moment that we choose to get into a relationship with anyone, interact with someone, we give up some bit of ourselves to them. It is now a shared truth between the two of you. It is a shared experience. It is not just yours anymore. You don't get to walk around and tell people what they can and can't say, or how they can and can't feel. And in her case, where someone's not even around anymore, this is Annie's life. This is Annie's story. Annie is also not doing this to garner fame. No. She's not doing it to make money from it. She's not doing it to sell anyone out or anything like that. She's not doing it to smear anyone's legacy. She is simply talking about her feelings because it helps other people who feel the exact same way. And there's no one saying me too.
Yep.
There's no one out there saying that. I think it's incredibly important that we have spaces like this where people can talk like that. I cannot get over the comments that she gets. I'm just thinking about some of them now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And I swear to you, it's from people who have never been there. It's from alcoholics who are still drinking, or addicts who are still out there, or people who are very early in recovery, or people who have convinced themselves that this codependency story that they tell themselves, that's their life and this is my life and you don't get to talk about it. And they've kind of segmented the two. And it's just like this weird, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's like a very, very conservative approach to discussing what's gone on in your life.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, it's not lost on me that privacy is a thing. It's not. I'm not an idiot. I know privacy exists, right? Yes. I know that in a marriage, there's some degree of things that you probably don't share. You just don't. We don't talk about our sex life openly, really. We did one time on the episode.
Yeah, we did.
But not intimate details of it, right? That's stuff that I think we would both agree stays between us.
Yeah.
But if I ever crossed the line when it came to that, it would not be right for me to tell you not to talk about it if you felt like talking about it was healing for you or was beneficial for other people or yourself. I think that's the line. That's kind of the gray area. I think you have to check your motives. And I think that's why Twitch's wife did catch, or his widow did catch some grief. Yeah. Because people felt like it was a cash grab kind of thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Not having read the book, I'm not here to judge or say that is a stance I have at all.
We don't know.
Just reading through comment sections, right? You can just read, you just kind of gather what people are saying. And it's like, hey, this is rather convenient that you released this not long after his death. And it's got some really personal details that he would have never shared and that he never even told her, which is interesting. And so what's the motive there, right?
Right.
She has said, I've read that she's even said, like, this is to help other people and myself heal.
I think it's other people. She wanted to open up just like about mental health and whatnot so that you can discuss that and what he was struggling with, just to make it, like, normalize, because this is what people go through. Everyone has these issues. Yeah.
I think that there's such a thing as productive accountability versus just like public shaming. And you kind of have to walk that line and think about what that is for you. It's probably going to be a little different for everybody.
Yeah.
Depending on status and everything else. For us, it was irrelevant. Like, we're nobodies. So it doesn't really matter. I don't care. There's nothing you can say that would hurt my feelings.
Right. But we do this to help others not feel alone so that they can feel like, oh, there's somebody out there who feels the same way I do. Because like I said, there are so many different accounts out there on addiction where the addict can speak their mind and what they're going through and what they've done, but there's not very many on the spouses unless it's from the codependent enabling side of things. And I don't really lean towards that way. Mine's more on the betrayal trauma and the things that we've actually dealt with. And I'm speaking my truth and my experience and what I went through. And you're just along for the ride and telling me that, yeah, I did those things. But I think it's important that we speak up about these things when we can.
There was this troll that used to follow us on TikTok. And every time that you were talking about an experience that you'd had with me, as I'm sitting right next to you, he would be like, he hates her. Or she hates him. She hates him.
Yeah.
She can't stand him. Just listen.
Yeah, there's a lot of, there's not a lot, but there have been a few people who've commented about me being angry or whatnot. I'm like, guys, y'all, I've been out of this for 12 years now, and we've gotten through that anger. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm there for those that are still in it who don't have their voice right now. Because they don't feel like they can speak up. They don't feel like they have a lot of people don't even know what they feel or what they're dealing with, because everything that they read or they look at, they're like, I just don't relate to that, or I don't feel this way, or this just doesn't seem right. But then they find us and they're like, oh, that makes sense. Like they finally feel like they're not alone. And that's a big deal, that we're speaking something that's not being discussed very much at all. So I really like Annie. Like she's doing pretty much what we're doing, from a different level, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a voice out there for a lot of people that have nowhere else to go.
Right.
And then you've got this other group of people that says that's not your story to tell. Bullshit, is not her story to tell. She had to bury him. She had to live with him. She had to watch that. She had a front row seat to it. Mm-hmm. You think it didn't affect her or children? And she can't talk about it because he was an alcoholic? Because he had a disease? That's why? That's why.
Yeah.
And I think that's another piece of this is I think that when it comes to addiction in particular, or any type of mental health issue, we get the benefit of the doubt because it's medical. Therefore, your trauma, your pain is less severe than everyone else's because I have a disease.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I reject that wholly and fully. I think that's bullshit. I think that's the crap that we tell people because we want to protect them early on and we don't want them to shame spiral. I know that everyone's got a different tolerance for shame, right?
Right.
I encourage everyone to do what I did with it. Once again, like one of the very few things I've ever gotten right in life is
use it as fuel. Yes, I agree with it. Shame is so powerful. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling, but we all need to feel it and just use it as fuel. Make change with it.
Yeah.
Not internalize it.
This is like the radical acceptance of yourself, and I don't think that you can really make anything of yourself or really get to know yourself until you've done that, until you've radically accepted everything that you've done.
Yeah.
And still able to look yourself in the mirror and say, I like you. I like you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what you have to be able to do. Mm-hmm. Some people just find it rather difficult after they've done stuff. And they have to look it in the face, and it is what it is. You can sit there and deny it, and you can keep it in the dark. You can keep it secret, but it's not really doing anything. It just increases the stigma. It increases the shame.
It does.
And then it puts your partner in a rather weird position where they're going through a lot and they can't even talk about it. Mm-hmm. They can't say a word about it. I was looking at classic stories of people that have gone through something like this. I was like, I know I've read about them, but I can't really remember. Terry Crews was one. Your favorite.
How do I not know this?
I don't know. Terry Crews.
I love Terry Crews, y'all.
So Terry Crews, if you don't know him, Paige, tell us who Terry Crews is. He's like your favorite actor.
Well, he was a football player once, right?
Once upon a time, I think.
Okay, but he's an actor that is just hilarious. He was in Idiocracy. He was in White Girls. He's in a lot of Adam Sandler movies, I think, or a few.
You've seen him before. He's
jacked. He's ripped.
Jacked, like black dude. He's hilarious.
He is amazing.
He's so funny. But either way, he has spoken openly about his struggles with pornography addiction and how it impacted his wife, Rebecca. And she has also shared her perspective in interviews. But I like their approach. It's very similar to what we do. It's mutual accountability and transparency.
Okay.
We talk about it together. But even if you did want to talk about it yourself, if you wanted to write a book, I would have no issue with that. None.
I should be able to do it without you having an issue or not anyway, because it's my experience.
Yeah. Someone else who caught a lot of hell, and I haven't read this book, and it's on my list of books to read, is Jeanette Walls. There's a book called The Glass Castle.
Okay.
It's about her life of growing up with neglectful and abusive parents. And she wrote it in probably the most eloquent way that you can without just outright slandering a family. It was about her experience with them. So rather than like dragging them through the mud or anything else, she just focused on her experience and what that did to her and what that was like.
Okay.
And even if they did read it, like you have to own that. It is what it is. Like this is what happened to her, you know?
How can you share your experience without condemning people?
I think
if there's actual abuse and pain and things like that, do you know what
I think that there's a way to write it.
Or share it.
Without having read this is how I would go about it, right? I had some things happen to me when I was growing up, not too dissimilar than this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that, you ever heard that old saying, like if you truly understood somebody, there's no way that you could actually hate them or be mad at them?
Yeah, you've told me this.
If you could live their life over, there's no way that you could actually hate them. Having understood why they made the decisions they made, why they did the things they did.
Okay.
You could never hate them for it.
Right.
And I think you have to approach it with that if you're not going to condemn somebody. So if you're writing a story like this, it's like, I can only imagine what the person that did this to me, what their life was like growing up. I cannot imagine how painful
that's just having some
and
empathy
difficult
for people.
that was. And that's what it is.
Because hurt people.
Exactly. I think you just have to say that before you just say, this son of a bitch.
But I call you an active asshole when you were an active asshole. So
doesn't hurt my feelings.
Okay. Well, I'm asking for my own.
I think anyway, that's how you would do it, is you would approach it from the standpoint of understanding, but also acknowledging the pain that was caused.
Okay. So it's two thoughts at once, basically.
Exactly.
Like you read between the lines.
It does not paint them as this intentionally like horrible person that could not wait to get up in the morning and just kick your ass.
Right.
This is a very hurt person that's got a lot of things going on they've never dealt with, and they hurt me too.
Right.
That's different. It's
so
the same and
still,
different.
but it's like, I understand it, but I'm not tolerating that. It still hurts. Like two different things too.
Yeah. Again, I think that silence perpetuates shame, it perpetuates stigma and generational trauma. The longer the stuff that goes undiscussed, the more it just hangs out.
Yeah, that's true.
And gets perpetuated.
Mm-hmm.
This shit stops when you say it stops, when you come out with it and you own it. That's my take on it. And that's been my experience with it.
Yeah. Can we talk about how it can be used as a form of control?
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, I think from even, let's just say that you're with somebody who is in active addiction and they don't want you to speak. Of course, they don't want you to speak, because then it would make them, you'd have to hold them accountable to some extent, because then you're talking about what's really going on behind closed doors and it's going to piss them off. But it's still your experience. You should be able to discuss these things no matter what, no matter how they're feeling, but it is a form of control. But also people in, that may be in social media or whatnot telling you not to speak about it. It's almost a form of control too, because it's like, why are you airing out these secrets? Like you should not be talking about something that's not, I don't know. I can't think of the word what I'm thinking of.
Oh, remember that thing we said we were going to do?
What?
Anytime on the show from now on, whenever we can't remember a word, we're just going to say...
Oh, I don't remember the English version of that.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I don't remember how to pronounce it in English.
I don't remember how to pronounce that in English.
That way it sounds like we know multiple languages and we sound smarter. That's our new bit.
Okay, so I don't know.
You don't remember the English word. It's okay.
No, I don't remember the English word. But how do you feel that it can be used as a form of control when we're asked to silence our partners?
I think that anytime you try to control somebody's narrative, that is a form of control. Anytime you try to influence someone's narrative, that is a form of control. It is control of perception. It is control of their memories.
Ooh.
It is control of their emotional experience around whatever happened.
Yeah.
This is what I think anyway. I think that like that first one, you're controlling the perception is possibly the biggest one. If I don't allow you to speak about me truly, in your truth, in however you decided to speak about me based on your experience, your real life lived experience.
Yeah.
What I'm really saying is I need to keep my fake reputation intact and you're fucking with it anytime that you speak up.
Yeah.
So it's the perception that not only the world has of me, that I have of myself in the world. So it's a form of control in that aspect. It's also a form of control when it comes to your memories of this thing. The longer that we go on internally telling a story, that story can change with influence from other people. I tell you the story about the story as I remember it, don't allow you to talk about it. you start to remember, you can't remember what's fact and fiction.
Mhm.
The story changes in your mind.
Yeah.
This just happens. This happens to people all the time. Think about memories from your childhood.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's told you a story about what happened. You remember it a little bit differently, and now it looks something like both.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
yeah,
what I'm talking
yeah.
about?
Yeah. It
This can
really
happen
does
too.
change. Right.
But had you been able to speak about that experience from the very beginning, it becomes real in your mind. You don't forget it. You create these mental markers that you can go back and recall, these events, these thoughts, this texture in your mind. You can go back and remember it.
Okay.
So it's a form of control in that way. I don't think that's intentional, but that's one of the byproducts of it.
Right. Intentional or not. It's not okay,
And
you
then,
know?
And then the last piece is I get to control your emotional state around the events. If I don't allow you to speak about it, if I want this quiet, you're going to have to push that stuff down. You're going to have to push it down and suppress it. And it's going to turn to something else. It's going to turn into self-loathing. It's going to turn into self-hatred. Not hatred for me anymore. It turns
anxiety, depression,
right.
all the things.
It turns in on itself now to where you're the one who's going to be struggling and suffering because I asked you not to talk about me to save my reputation, my perception, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly controlling and damaging to do this. I think that if anyone has had an experience with me, they should be allowed to talk about it truly. And if I have done wrong in that experience, then I should own it. That's just, it's really simple. It's not complicated.
Right.
It's just, you need some thicker skin if you have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You do. You need some thicker skin.
Agreed.
Like no one's perfect. I am far from perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Far from perfect. I'm saying that emphatically because I'm the furthest thing from perfect. But I like me. I do my best. I try really hard to correct the wrongs of my past and to make sure that I give people a better version of me every single day moving forward.
Yeah.
What more can you ask of someone that's ever made a mistake?
Right.
If there's a group out there that says you screw up once and that's it, fuck that. Fuck them. I don't like that one damn bit. So you mean you get one chance at being perfect and the moment you screw up, you're just no good to anybody?
Right.
Says who? Where's the rule book? Show me that. Where's that rule? I don't want to hear that shit. That's bull. No,
Yep.
I hate that. So what's the harm in allowing people to speak? It's really about how you view yourself. And what you're saying is that my fragile self-esteem is more important than you and anything that you might suffer because of what I've done. Remember, we're here because of what I did.
Right.
Let's not forget that.
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's just, it's a terrible thing that I see happen all the time. And it is an interesting question though, is how much of this is yours? How much of this is mine? How much of this is shared? How much of this should we agree to talk about? I handled it really simply, I think. I didn't think too hard about it at all. I didn't. Also, acknowledging the fact that I am not a public figure. I do not hold a public office. I don't have any of these things.
Yeah.
But if I did, I don't think I would do anything differently.
Yeah.
I wouldn't because then I'm operating under false pretenses. I never want to do that. I'm never getting elected for anything, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No one would elect me. Go back and listen to 100 episodes of this shit and put that out there in a campaign ad. Listen to this guy. This is who you want representing you. Yeah, you're right. I probably don't need to be representing a county or something or anyone in office. And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
Right.
But I think it's your experience to share. Do you feel like people should speak up?
I do. I feel like not enough people are speaking up about it. Like I said, there's so much out there on the addict's point of view, but there's not much on our point of view and what we're experiencing and what we've gone through. And a lot of the times, like I said, we don't even know what we've gone through and what we're dealing with and what we are even to share because, there's been so much gaslighting and lying that it's hard for us to even explain the things that we've been through because it's been changed a lot. But I do think that it's important that we speak up more.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Do you think that details matter?
What do you mean by details?
Let's say anyone can speak, I think, pretty generally about an experience with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that, my husband at one time lied. My husband at one time would try to convince me that something had happened when it didn't really. We had some issues with money. Or you could say, my husband lied to me every day about everything. He would lie to my face. He would try to convince me that he hadn't just visited a drug dealer's house. He would hide pills from me. He would drink. He had multiple bottles hidden around the house where he had one in the garage and he had one under the bar and then one on top of the bar that was like the show bottle. On a terrible Christmas one year, I took my infant daughter to a drug dealer's house. Like those are details, and details, in my opinion anyway, make the story real. And they're much more relatable than generalizations.
Yeah.
But most people fear the details more than anything. And they feel
That's
like,
true.
Here's what I've heard is that you could tell the story, but you should leave out the details.
Right. And like I said, it makes it easier that you're talking about it than me talking about it, because I don't know if I would talk about those details if you hadn't discussed them.
And that is, I think, also valid too, is that you love me, right?
Yeah.
I hope so. You wouldn't want, is it fair to say that you wouldn't want to hurt me, or you wouldn't want others to think poorly of me?
Yes.
And it's more likely to happen if you share details?
Also, to be honest, it brings on some shame for me as well.
Because you dealt with it?
Because I was in it. I was part of that. I'm not necessarily part of it because I didn't really know what the fuck was going on, considering you were a closet addict.
But for someone who could say that you tolerated it, you allowed it.
I know that when people hear our stories, they're like, oh shit, that's a lot of shit that they've been through. They've been through hell because of the way that we've talked about it. What they don't hear is like all the good shit that we've been through, like throughout the time frames too. But they can look at that and they know that people have judged me based on the things that I have shared on our relationship.
I would encourage anyone who's on my side of this deal, if you've been someone who's made some mistakes in the past, own them.
Yeah.
People can't hurt you with information you've already volunteered. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't hurt you with that. You can say whatever you want. You're not going to hurt me. I've already acknowledged these things and made peace with them. I've made peace with the people that I've done these things to, more importantly, and then made peace with myself, and you walk forward. If I rat myself out and I beat you to the punch, you can't hurt me with it.
Yeah, that's true. But
it gives you the freedom at that point where you don't feel guilty for sharing it.
It does. And I don't care what other people think about our story and what we've shared and stuff like that. We've been out of this for 12 years, so we've been able to heal from it and deal with it and talk about it. So it might be easier for us to discuss it because we have been out of it and healed from it for a long period of time. But those that are newly healing and in recovery, it might be difficult for them to still talk about this stuff.
Yeah. And you also there's something to be said about risking re-traumatizing yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Especially too soon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure it's really beneficial, like re-traumatize yourself over and over, especially when you're not on the other side yet.
Right.
You kind of stay in that cycle of just fucking hurt right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But y'all need to talk together and discuss what's going on. This is your partner's story too. And if they want to share with their friends, they should be able to share with their friends or family members or somebody who's safe. Like that's their experience. We can't censor them.
No.
And also it opens up conversations with people. Like I hear some people, like strangers talking, and addiction will get brought up or something like that. And they connect because they find a common denominator and like, I've been through that too. This is what's going on in my house as well. I can't believe I found somebody that's going through the same thing, And that's kind of been great about our podcast and even our merch. Some people like, why do you wear that merch? You want to talk about your phone, whatever it is. It's very different than what AA and Al-Anon tell you to do, like to keep it quiet. But no, it opens up conversations with other people who might be struggling, and you can make connections that way. And then you feel even less alone there too.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the people that wear our merch, and I'm proud to wear our merch.
Me too.
And that's part of the reason why it's like I took ownership of this. Mm-hmm. Yes, these things happen.
Yep.
And yes, watch me walk through the other side of this fire.
Right.
That's what Till the Wheels Fall Off is about.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about. So I've always been really proud of the people that are willing to rep it, because that's what they're saying. Yeah. Essentially.
But it opens up the conversation for them to talk about it. Just like those in addiction, y'all have people that you talk about this with. You know, you just open up a conversation like, oh, you're sober. I'm sober too. Let's, shoot shit and talk about some of our war stories. We want to have people to talk about this stuff with too.
Yeah. And this is, I think, why we suck at small talk with people.
That's true.
I don't like talking about the weather or shit like that. Like we can do that for a second, but like, I just want to ask you, like, what's the last thing you read that made you cry or something like that? I want to know, like, I want to connect with people on a deeper level. And you're right. This allows that to happen whenever you bring it out there. Yeah. It's very unlikely that you're going to get like noticed in public or anything like that. I don't think we've ever been noticed in public. No. Watch I say that now.
We don't get out in public much.
That's actually the best way to protect against that. Just don't go outside. But I also want to talk about stigma for a second. Okay. We're talking about stigma, and you said you didn't want to talk about stigma, but I want to talk about stigma.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit. What are you going to bring back up?
Okay. So there were once a lot of things. Okay. I will open this by saying that I think that stigma can be a powerful driver for shame that is necessary to feel, pain that drives change.
Agreed.
I don't think that we should just try to keep people away from shame. I don't think that we should shelter people from shame.
No.
I really don't think that that's
I don't think that's helpful.
I don't think too much shame is a good thing.
No. There's a gray area here. There's a gray area.
But I think that you can look at, so I went back and researched, like, what are various different movements over the years that have been destigmatized, and have we gone too far? Like, okay. And when I say gone too far, it's not just my opinion. It's like, this is the pendulum of life, right?
Yeah. And society.
Things in society are generally on one extreme, and then we recognize something was wrong with it. And so we pivot to the other extreme, very rarely ever finding a middle ground.
Yeah. I don't think that it ever happens. Maybe like within your own home occasionally, but that's it. As a society, no.
I think that there might be some like sweet spot periods of time in life where we find that, but generally it's just not. Okay, so the first one, since we're talking about addiction as a disease, framing addiction as a disease rather than a moral failure encouraged people to seek treatment and to stop hiding the problem they were having. But the potential overcorrection here, and I would argue to some degree that this has led to overemphasizing compassion for people who struggle with addiction at the expense of accountability, enabling behaviors, neglecting the harm that was done to others as well.
Right.
I think that the more that we coddle people, just in general, the less they'll feel shame and the less they'll understand
that their behaviors impact people and they need to change.
It's like, poor thing, you're addicted. Now get your shit together. I'm here for you, but you got to get your shit together.
Right. It's no different with my mental health.
Exactly.
With my anxiety.
Mental health was the next one.
Yeah. With my anxiety and depression. It's like, okay, yeah, I know you're struggling. I'm sorry. I know I had a big part in this, but what are we going to do about it? And that's the power that we have to get in. Like, I had some shame there. I'm like, oh, I'm not a good mom. I'm not being a good mom to my kids for this. It's not an excuse. That's why when people talk about mental health and it's like, oh, we need to normalize discussing mental health. What we need to normalize is getting treatment for it and actually changing and being and using it, that shame that we feel, as fuel to get better and not just sitting in that stuff and those mental illnesses that we have. Majority of them are treatable. They're treatable.
Yeah.
We are like proof that this is treatable.
It's
Addiction,
treatable.
Anxiety, depression. Well, severe anxiety. Anxiety is a normal emotion. But if you have general anxiety disorder like I had, or panic disorder, there's a way to treat that. And I'm not just talking with medication. Like, you can actually rewire your brain and change your behaviors to become a better person and who you want to be.
You can.
So we went too far to where it's like, okay, you have an addiction, you have this mental health, or these mental illnesses. So we're going to just show you more compassion.
More compassion.
And more compassion. But what you really need is a little bit of tough love, but not in a bad way, right?
Yeah.
Like, some people look at tough love as being a bad thing, but it's really not the way that we do tough love. That's the setting boundaries. That's the like, I can't do this with you if you're not going to get help. Like, that's me saying that I will support you in recovery, but not in active addiction. Like, that's tough love. That's important.
It is.
And that's love for you and getting better.
Yeah. Other examples of this have been mental health in general. Mental health has been another one where at one time, anyone who had struggles with mental health.
That's what I just said.
Well, okay. In the workplace. So
in the workplace.
Yeah. Work-life balance. Around the time COVID came around, we all recognized that we were probably grinding a little too hard. Suddenly we got this break and kind of reprieve, and it's like, oh shit, I can get the same thing done from home. Like, oh wow, that's amazing. And so a lot of people really had this awakening in their life where they realized how many hours they were spending in the office and grinding and hustling. And I would say that hustle culture had probably gone a little too far. Mm-hmm. David Goggins would disagree with me, but it probably gone a little too far because we were prioritizing hustle over our own well-being.
I posted about hustle today. It was a reframe and hustle.
It was a good one. But the potential overcorrection here is that I would claim even that this has led to an overemphasis on avoiding stress at all at work or any kind of difficult work, and potentially even fostering entitlement or lack of discipline. Because God forbid I get a little stressed. You need to be a little bit stressed. That's you're not working hard enough if you're not a little bit stressed, okay?
Well, you know how we talk about you have to feel your feels and like you have to feel uncomfortable sometimes? Yeah. We're not supposed to feel comfortable all the time.
No.
We're not. We're supposed to have uncomfortable feelings and we're supposed to be stressed occasionally. This is just life.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to avoid it all the time, you're missing the point.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, so let's think about like body positivity movement. This is going to be controversial, but
yeah,
please understand where I'm coming from this. I grew up a heavy kid. My entire life I was heavy till I was like almost 30. I was out of shape, really out of shape.
It wasn't there. Yeah.
But when I was growing up, you got made fun of all the time for being fat, and it hurt. It did not feel good. I cried. I had a girl break up with me one time because she said she couldn't fit her arms around me. I got made fun of. I didn't have days to the dances. It did not feel good. Okay. That's what it was like growing up in the 80s and 90s. Anyone listening remembers that. Mm-hmm. And then we recognized that's not any way to treat people. But what we did was we swung the other direction. Mm-hmm. Where now there are fitness influencers who are morbidly obese, 600 pounds. And we're telling them you're beautiful. And maybe they feel like they're beautiful. Maybe people believe they're beautiful. I'm not here to tell you that they're not or judge your taste or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is it's medically unhealthy.
Right.
And I'm not sure it's the safest thing to tell people. That's great. Have we swung too far the other direction, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
It's no different here. Parenting style is the same thing.
Well, think about also too, people who are fit now. It's taboo to be fit.
Yeah, for lots.
There's a lot of people who will say that if you're fit, you're taking care of yourself, like that's a bad thing. And I'm like, whoa, what are we doing here?
Because you're shaming other people that aren't trying to get fit, or you're trying to push this unhealthy diet culture or whatever it might be. It's that overcorrection.
Yeah, but that's just very...
it's a distortion.
It's a distortion. Thank you. It's like you knew what I was trying to say.
It's a distortion.
It's a distortion because like we're humans. We're supposed to eat healthy, like be healthy. It's okay to be healthy.
Yeah. Drug decriminalization is another one. At one time, like we were locking people up for like a gram of weed. Like they were going to jail for a gram of weed.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had friends.
I had friends that went to jail for this shit.
Yeah.
Right? People that have great jobs and they're amazing in their family, but when they were a teenager, they had a gram of weed on them and they went to jail for it. Mm-hmm. Well, now we've kind of swung the other direction. We've seen what happens in some cities where they decriminalize everything. And you see the fallout from that too. Like what I'm saying is either extreme is bad.
Right.
God damn it. Why can't we see
find
that?
The fucking middle ground, y'all. Where's this gray area that we talk about all the time? Our society is built on all or nothing, black or white.
It is.
There's not much. Like think about even with politics, you get two people, all of it.
Yeah. Pick your poison with that one or that one.
Yeah.
And then they just argue. And there's like this majority kind of in the middle.
Like life is gray area. There is a middle ground that a lot of people just don't live by.
No. So when it comes to this conversation, I think this is very much at play where I think what will probably happen is families have been told, don't talk about it. What we'll see is families probably go too far the other direction.
You think so?
Probably. Why wouldn't it? This has just been the pattern of life.
Okay. And then what's that going to do?
Well, could do a few things.
Okay.
There could be a downside to this, in all fairness. This could lead to, like we talked about, shaming people. Mm-hmm. If not handled properly, if not communicated about, if not handled, I don't even know the way to put it. There's a right and a wrong way to respectfully talk about this kind of stuff.
Okay.
It really could put people in a position where they don't see a reason to continue on.
Okay.
If they feel like they have nothing
like if
to live
somebody
for,
is
no one supports them.
Like shaming in a very, very ugly way, not in a way that's productive, right? Like you don't just, like when I teach people to not be, that they can be angry, but don't be aggressive.
Right.
Like there's a middle ground. I think
you'll see some people get really aggressive with it. They've just been really hurt and they want to talk about how they feel without understanding that extreme is probably not the healthiest thing either. It's probably somewhere in between the two.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out. I hope that we can kickstart our conversation to what a healthy balance of that looks like. Mm-hmm. But at the very least, telling spouses, family members, whoever has been on the other side of someone like me, that you can talk about your experience with me and you shouldn't have to fear any repercussions from me. And you should never have to worry about my self-esteem or how I feel about me or my ego or any of these other things or me wanting to harm myself because of the things that you've said. And you're doing nothing more than repeating what I've already done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But for a lot of people, they're just not ready to look that in the face. I think you just kind of have to recognize who is and who isn't.
Yeah,
and this is
that's important.
This is also why I think that groups like ours and movements like ours and a community of wheelies that are literally flying across the world to meet with each other is so important because in cases where you can't talk about it publicly and you don't have a place to really voice this kind of stuff, there's nothing more comforting than having a small group of people or one person that you can talk to this stuff about.
Right.
But you can.
And we allow that. Like we allow that in our group to
absolutely.
talk about that. And it's not completely it's not centered to where it's like, oh, you can only talk about you. And no, it's to where you need to be able to talk about what you're dealing with within your relationship because it does impact you. And then once you get past that, you'll be able to really talk about yourself and your experience and what you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
That's the growth part. Yeah. But we do allow that space for you to feel less alone based on what has been going on in your relationship because there's nobody else who wants to listen to it or will listen to it, you know?
Yep.
Unless it's your therapist, which is important too. But we offer a space that's a community, like where you can connect with other
people who are going through it, who have been there before. Therapists are amazing for this too. Do not get me wrong. If you don't have a therapist, get a therapist.
Yeah, but I think that peer groups are
there's something different about someone who's been there before.
Important.
When you share a detail, they don't just say, I understand how that must have felt. They share one back and you go, oh, they get it.
Right. And they share how they got through certain things, you know, like that's what's so great about the group too. It's like, oh, I did the same thing. We dealt with the same thing. Here's what I did to get through that.
Yeah.
So we do encourage people to talk about it.
Yep.
It's important.
We haven't announced a date yet. We haven't even booked the venue yet, but this summer, I believe,
hopefully
contingent on a surgery. We'll see.
Why are you bringing this up?
Because I'm committing to it. Committing to it.
Okay.
At some point, we have to do it. So we've talked about
want to do it,
doing workshops, right? We did one last year. It was amazing. I was like, I could do one of these every single weekend. We want to do 2 different workshops. We want to do a couples workshop for couples that are really trying to work through this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to do just a wheelie workshop for anyone who wants to come and learn how to grow can do that. I haven't booked dates on these things. I have to have another surgery. My first back surgery was unsuccessful.
It made it worse.
It just made it worse.
Let's be real, babe. He has been struggling.
My feet go numb real bad. I didn't know if I could walk today.
He had a really bad moment today.
Yeah, I couldn't walk. I didn't know how I was going to get to my car. My feet were completely numb. I couldn't even move my toes. But either way, I'm going to have a fusion and I'll be down for a while.
It's a big thing that we have to discuss.
If I have to record from the bed, I'm going to record from the bed.
Okay.
When I commit to something,
or if we have to pause a little bit, that's okay too, because this is going to be a very significant surgery. He acts like anytime he says like, I got this, we got this. And then he's like, oh shit. After you get it done, you're like, yeah, this is not what I expected. And this next one is going to be really big, babe. So you're putting this out there to the world, but I'm on the side saying that it may or may not happen workshop wise. We have to see what happens with this.
We'll see. I really want to do some workshops though.
I do too.
Yeah, I'd like to do at least a couple of them.
And I know, I wish we could do one once a quarter at least. Like that's been our goal, but
life, damn it.
No.
Life. Okay. Well, I think that we've covered it. Just like any other episode, we're not answering the question because I don't know if there's a right answer.
I just wanted to have this conversation. I really think it opens up a good conversation.
Credit Celeste for this as well.
Yeah. She sent us the message.
This idea was hers. She messaged us. The concept of this episode was hers, and I was like, "That's amazing! Like, thank you."
Yes.
So thank you, Celeste.
Honestly, when she sent that, we had like an hour-long conversation.
Yeah, we should just record
about this, and I really wanted to record it like then because it was so great. And then we had other things happen, and it's been like 3 weeks since this happened. So I feel like we're far away from when it happened, but I still think it was an important conversation to have.
It was for sure. It's your life too. It's your story too.
It is.
This is every bit yours as it is mine.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're on my side of this stuff and you've struggled with addiction, you've made mistakes, no doubt. I think you got to give people permission to share their experience with it. And I think it's only going to help you in the long run. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I say that with full confidence that it's only going to help you in the long run. You're not doing anything except for you're just hiding from the truth at that point. You're protecting your ego, which has gotten you in trouble. It probably needs to be kicked down a little bit. Yeah. It's not going to hurt anything.
Mm-mm.
But, yeah, I'm grateful that you have been able to give spouses a voice and allow them to really speak up and own what they've been through and own their trauma and discuss this stuff in real life and discuss it out loud and recover out loud.
Yes.
Heal
out loud is a big deal.
Yeah. So I think that everyone owes that to you here, truly.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you, though.
Unfortunately, or fortunately. Yeah. Okay. That's all we've got on this one. Thank you so much for listening. Cannot wait to get back at this next week. Until next time, I am Matt.
I'm Paige.
And we'll see you.
Bye.